Hi, welcome back to Recap Cinema. Today I will recap the next episodes of Secret Invasion. In 1997, Fury and Talos assemble a group of Skrulls in a community center in Brixton. One of the Skrulls, Vara, introduces Fury to Gravik, a young Skrull who lost his parents. While Gravik is not very social, Fury thinks he has lots of potential. Talos addresses the Skrulls and Fury makes them a deal. In exchange for them becoming his spies, he and Captain Marvel will help them find a new home world. In the present day, after shooting Maria, Gravik gets in a car and flees. Bruggen is left behind and he is arrested. Talos impersonates a law enforcement operative to get Fury out of the square. Later, they board a train headed for Warsaw. During the journey, Fury begins reminiscing about his childhood and what it was like having to travel by train in the 1950s at the height of discrimination in America. Talos reveals that while Fury was wiped out by Thanos, he summoned almost all of the Skrulls that remain to Earth, and their numbers are about 1 million strong. He believes that Fury can help the Skrulls integrate seamlessly with humanity, but Fury doesn't see that as a possibility. The heated argument ends with Fury telling Talos to leave the train. Fury travels to London, where Maria's body is being shipped back to the United States. Maria's mother Elizabeth approaches Fury, and he admits that Maria was killed because someone was trying to hurt him. Angry at him, Elizabeth asks Fury to make sure Maria's death wasn't in vain. As night falls, Gaia drives Gravik to a meeting of the Skrull Council. On the way, she asks him how he knew Fury would show at the square. Gravik admits he wasn't completely certain, but was hoping he would because he wanted to see the look on Fury's face. They arrive at a building where the council has assembled. Gaia tries to follow Gravik into the meeting, but is stopped by the bodyguards. When she tries to protest, Gravik gives his gun to her and instructs her to shoot the guards if he's not out within the hour. The council is a group of high-ranking people of influence. Among them are UK Prime Minister Pamela Lawton, NATO Secretary General Sergio Caspani, and American news pundit Chris Stearns, who've been going public with various statements in response to Gravik's attack. The head of the council, Shirley Sagar, makes clear that Gravik should face consequences for his crimes against innocent civilians who had died in the bombings, including children. Gravik seems to have anticipated this, and speaking in the Skrull's native tongue justifies his actions because Fury failed to honor the deal he made with them and views war as the only way forward. He even has a contingency plan for if they meet resistance from the Avengers or any other enemies. Lawton, who turns out to have been working in league with Gravik all this time, pushes a motion to have Gravik appointed as Skrull General and give him complete power to wage war. All of the other council members take their Skrull forms to show their support for Gravik. Shirley, however, is disgusted and refuses to submit to Gravik, remembering what happened to them when they fought the Kree. Gravik, seemingly impressed by her stand, lets her walk out. Later, she calls Talos and informs him of the shocking plot, promising any aid she can give. Talos asks Shirley to set up a meeting between him and Gravik regarding Gaia. Gravik returns to New Skrullos, and the news of his power grab is met with a hero's welcome. However, Gaia becomes suspicious when she notices Gravik whisper something to Pagan. She follows Pagan into a secret lab in the compound and sees two scientists, Victor and Rosa Dalton, doing some sort of work with a machine and different DNA samples. The Daltons have been tasked by Gravik with doing something called the Harvest, but Pagan's latest recovery mission has come up empty. In London, the European heads of state have called an emergency summit. Rhodey attends as an envoy for the United States. As they interrogate him about the attack in Moscow, Rhodey denies all of their allegations and insists that right now, America has no further interest in cooperating with them until there's solid proof of their involvement in the attack. After the summit, Rhodey gets a call from Fury and agrees to meet him at a tavern for drinks. Fury admits to Rhodey that he and Hill were actively trying to stop Gravik. When Fury explains that the attackers are Skrulls, Rhodey admits he's aware of them, having been briefed about them 15 years prior in a classified meeting. While Rhodey is trying to bring in the Avengers, Fury feels that's too risky since the Skrulls could impersonate them and frame them for acts of terrorism. Fury would rather fight the Skrulls by himself, but he'd like Rhodey's support. To his dismay, Rhodey refuses and instead fires him. Fury gets angry at Rhodey for this behavior. However, once outside, he sits down and has a panic attack. In Moscow, Sonia Falsworth visits an FSB hideout, where Bruggen is being interrogated. She takes over the interview and begins cutting off a finger from Bruggen's right hand with a pair of pliers. Bruggen tries his best to resist Sonia's efforts, but he eventually cracks when she injects him with a chemical that burns his blood. Under pressure, he confesses that Gravik is using Dalton scientists to build a machine to make Skrulls stronger. In New Skrullos, Gaia continues snooping around to find out more about the Daltons' work. She gets on a computer and types their name in. To her shock, the Daltons have been obtaining DNA samples from various enhanced individuals and creatures who've been to Earth in recent years, including a beast from Jotunheim, Groot, Cull Obsidian, and even Extremis Vials. She's forced to hide her work when Gravik enters the room and tells him that she was looking up Beto's file to see if he was ready to do work. Gravik says that when Gaia first came to him, he was convinced that her father sent her to spy on him. While Gaia doesn't retaliate, she can hardly suppress her anger over Gravik calling her father a coward. The conversation changes as Gravik reveals that Brogan has been found, so they need to go pick him up. Gravik, Pagan, Beto, and Gaia travel to the hideout. Gravik and Pagan take guns from the trunk and shoot their way into the shop, while Gaia gets herself out of the car to check around the back. In reality, her reason for slipping out is to make a phone call to an unknown party. Gravik and Pagan eventually break into the freezer where Brogan has been interrogated, by which point Sonya has fled through a secret tunnel. They grab Brogan, who admits that he told them a bunch of lies. However, Gravik is convinced Brogan isn't being honest with him, as when they're returning to their safe house, they find police crawling all over it. So instead they drive into the woods to a location just outside New Skrullos. Gravik hands Pagan a gun, who removes Brogan from the car, walks him a few feet away, and shoots him in the head. In England, Fury grabs a car from a secret storage facility and drives to a house where we see a female Skrull in the kitchen. Fury walks in and meets the Skrull, who has taken on the form of a black woman. She tells him he's forgetting something. At this, Fury steps out of the kitchen, returning with a wedding ring, which he then puts on his finger before kissing her. Gravik informs the Skrull Council that he has sent Pagan and Beto on a mission that involves infiltrating the Royal Navy and authorizing a missile launch from Neptune's submarine onto a United Nations plane. In addition, Gravik also reveals that he will utilize the Skrull power replicator to create an army of Super Skrulls, who possess adaptive abilities and can alter their superpowers. In 1998, Fury meets with Vera at a cafe and exchanges information regarding General Dreykov, which initiates their romance. In the present day, Vera brings up the topic of Fury's long absence and questions his return. In response, Fury reveals that he has retired and considers indulging in a new pursuit of revenge. He begins to suspect Vera's involvement in the rebellion, but she deflects the question. Her conversation is interrupted by a phone call. At New Skrullos, Gravik suspects a traitor within his ranks and questions Gaia about how the police found their safe house. But she says that Brogan may have cracked under pressure while he was tortured. Later, the two of them travel to London to meet with Talos at the National Portrait Gallery. During their journey, Gravik receives a call with the United Nations plane's coordinates, which Gaia enters into a burner phone. At the museum, Gravik delivers a speech to Talos before they move to a cafe. Gravik taunts Talos, provoking a reaction out of him until the cafe's patrons reveal themselves as Skrull rebels. Talos warns Gravik of humanity's strength and unity and plans to expose the Skrulls, eliminating their advantage. When Gravik threatens to kill Gaia, Talos stabs Gravik in the hand. Using Extremis, Gravik heals himself and goes outside. Gaia discreetly passes the burner phone to Talos while disguised as an old man and returns to the car. At a pub, Fury informs Talos about a Skrull agent who has infiltrated the US government. Despite their previous disagreement, Talos asserts his dominance and Fury's dependence on him, leading him to beg for his help. They set off together, and Talos shares the plane's coordinates with him. Fury identifies Neptune as the British submarine and contacts Sonya, who tells them about the location of Commodore Robert Fairbanks, the submarine's commander. Robert and his security detail have all been compromised by Skrulls. En route to Robert's residence in Portsmouth, Fury and Talos engage in another argument, highlighting Fury's underappreciation of Talos' contributions. Fury would never have attained his status as the world's most dangerous spy without his help, attributing Fury's competence as a master spy to his indisposable Skrull network feeding him valuable intel. Upon reaching Robert's house, they stealthily infiltrated and disable Robert's Skrull security. Talos claims to have captured Robert, but Fury anticipates this to be a trap and holds his son, Zachary, hostage. Meanwhile, Pagan, already embedded within Neptune, prepares to greenlight the missile launch. Fury and Talos try and pressure Robert into giving up the code to abort the mission, but he does not comply. Robert discloses Gravik's rejected offer of partnership to Talos and brings up Gaia, which provokes Talos to shoot him. With time running out, Talos contacts Gaia to extract the code from the real Robert's memories, in the process jeopardizing her cover. The code, which is Zachary's name, allows Talos to stop the strike by impersonating Robert, aborting the launch, and exposing Pagan. While disposing of the Skrull's body, Fury questions Talos about rejecting Gravik's offer. Talos responds by saying that while Fury still doesn't truly understand him, he will still have his undying loyalty. Meanwhile, Gaia, now exposed, attempts to flee New Skrullos. However, Gravik intercepts her, revealing that the missile strike was a plot to expose the traitor. Identifying Gaia as the traitor, Gravik shoots her, leaving her for dead. Back at Fury's home, Vera follows up on the phone call she received and departs to a bank while being followed by Skrulls, retrieving a gun from a safety deposit box. Her conversation with an unidentified caller who sounds like Rhodey confirms Vera's association with Gravik. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this.